under the green light, and away we go then, and straight into the lead. James Holman, the poleman.
Paolo De Conto is the 2018 champion. He is victorious once again.
Well done, Lewis Gilbert, and congratulations to Matilda Olson. Strawberry 1-2.
Next time around, they'll get the last lap board. When will Barnacle start to defend? The answer is now.
He goes for the move immediately into the hairpin, and Travers Anuto leads the World Championship.
The checkered flag comes out. Oh, did he love that?
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
Hello and welcome to Send It, a brand new podcast for karting lovers everywhere around the world, from the international pinnacle to the grassroots stepping stones. Tonight, we'll be previewing the big February weekends for IAME and Rotax racers at their respective Winter Cup events in Spain. We'll be catching up with the events and news updates from the last month. We'll investigate a brand new team for X30 and OK racing across Europe and the UK. And we'll be investigating the British karting scene in 2020 and giving you a brief view as to what to watch out for this season. Jake Sanson and Alex Goldschmidt here with you all year long. Good evening, Alex. How are you, mate?
Evening, Jake. Evening, everybody. Well, it was about time we got this going, and I'm so glad we're the two people that are going to take everyone through the who's who and the what's what of karting, both from an IAME and Rotax perspective, and a hell of a lot more.
Absolutely. If our voices sound familiar to karting lovers, well, that is because I am generally the voice of IAME events and Alex Goldschmidt is generally the voice of Rotax events. So between the two of us, we should be able to cover most of the bases of the karting scene worldwide this year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But I'm not the voice of the grand finals. That illustrious honour is to Mr. Henry Baudet, a good friend of ours. So he's the voice of the grand finals. I'm the bloke that's normally around Europe most of the time.
Indeed it is, and that's a fair point, because over the course of the year we will of course have plenty of special guests on the programme who will be dropping in and out to share their thoughts and share their opinions about what's happening in the karting scene. But for this first one, we thought we'd stop in and just give you a bit of a starter for the season to preview two of the big events that are coming up for everybody that will be watching across February, and of course to give you a bit of a flavour of the British karting scene. So we're going to kick-start with the event that is taking place just a couple of weeks from now, actually, less than 2 weeks' time now, if you're listening on the Thursday when it's released. And that, of course, is the IAME Winter Cup in Valencia. Now, I know what I'm like. I ramble on and on, so I'm going to put a timer on, because we obviously have to make sure we spend
Don't worry, my stopwatch is already running, Jake.
We have a certain amount of time to talk about each section tonight, so my 15-minute timer is starting now. There will be a jingle to tell us when we're all finished, and it'll all make you laugh, but you'll find that out as it happens.
Normally at Jake's expense, of course.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or mine.
So we will start with the IAME Winter Cup in Valencia, of course, promoted by RGMMC Group Limited, and it will start with three categories, of course, this year. A very exciting battle for the X30 mini, junior and senior categories. And last year's mini champion, of course, is not going to be racing in the mini category. That was Freddie Slater. He now steps up to junior, which means it's an open playing field for the competitors in the mini category. And already the entry list looks pretty strong. A massive Spanish contingent, of course, naturally, predominantly from the Kart Republic Spain squad, with faces such as Bosco Arias, Hugo Sanchez and Denis Curivali, who returns to the category. But there are some big names as well from the Praga España motorsport team, such as Adrian Benito, Pedro and Eduardo Dominguez, and Alex Martinez. They're going to be obviously very strong contenders. One of the interesting things for this year, though, we've noticed for the first time in Europe, actually, Alex, is the Oliver Rowland Motorsport team. They started in Britain in 2018 with just one driver in the British Championships, Arvid Lindblad, and now they have two drivers heading into Europe in the mini category alone, and that is Jesse Phillips, the Bambino champion from last year, and Lewis Werrell, a regular competitor in British karting.
Definitely. We can't also forget about the fact, I think we've also got Cathal Clark, haven't we, for the Winter
We
Cup as well?
have, yes, we have got Cathal Clark. He will be there as well, so that is definitely going to be very intense. First time for the team out in Europe, though. This is a statement of intent.
It definitely is, and obviously with the kudos that Oliver Rowland is now in his second year with Nissan EDAMS. I've had the chance to speak with Oliver actually last year at Kart Masters for the Motorsport UK British Kart Grand Prix, which was live all the way through the weekend. And, the team's got a real sense of purpose. I think they've been at the throats of Fusion Motorsport for the last couple of seasons now, and it's quite prevalent. I think not just through the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships, but wherever Oliver Rowland Motorsport and Fusion have competed, you have seen a real intense battle between both sides, Jake. And now that they're going into Europe, it's a statement of intent, but it's a statement of saying, we're here and we're not just going to make up the numbers.
Absolutely. You've mentioned the team, so we should discuss them. Fusion Motorsport, they are obviously coming back with Leo Robinson once again. He is an early favourite, of course. He was third in last year's Euro Series, so he's an early favourite coming into the 2020 season. His teammate, though, Alfie Slater, obviously straight off the back of his brother's success, and he did such a good job, of course, in the Miniman Cadet in the international finals at Le Mans just 3 months ago, so he's definitely one to watch. There is another name that I'm going to hit up with everybody, and that is at KR Sport. Very rare for them to do Mini X30, but their young man is Thomas Behrman. Now, of course, he is the younger brother of last year's IAME Junior Winter Cup and Euro Series winner, Oliver Behrman. That'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Yeah, because they're also both fellow Essex boys, because you're originally from Braintree and I'm living in Manningtree at the moment.
Yes, indeed. They are the Chelmsford Massive. The Chelmsford Massive, they are.
I mean, I can see that obviously with Thomas, it doesn't really fall far from the tree in that family, because let's take, for instance, a performance from Oliver last year. And funnily enough, I'm going to go back to Kart Masters, which this year is taking place between the 31st of July and the 2nd of August at PF International, just celebrating off the back of a 25th anniversary. So it was really good to be there for presenting the awards along with Nigel Edwards, a good man, but rules with an iron fist on the racetrack, as you and I both very well know, Jake. But Oliver's performance at Kart Masters, he was alongside Jamie Day on the final row of the grid for the final, and he got his way all the way up to fourth place, whilst Oliver Gray did a Caden McQueen on Caden McQueen. And if Oliver can do those kind of performances, I'm not at all surprised if Thomas will do them as well.
Well, there are a few other names that are worth looking out for in the mini category who have done this before. Roman Kamyab joined midway through last year, and he has been making massive strides forward. He's an outside shot for the Winter Cup. Also, the Portuguese star Maria Germanonito of the FA Racing Spain team. She should be very strong. And also, another one to keep an eye out for from the Dino Motorsport squad on the Cosmic chassis, Rodrigo Seabra. The Wolf is definitely going to be a contender. As are the two Spirit Racing Swiss aces, Hector Gerling and Matt Corby. They are definitely going to be contenders up at the sharp end of the field. The Dimes Racing team have actually entered their new Japanese star Soichiro Shioda. And then, of course, we've got the Barryberg Motorsport team from Norway of Marie and Marius Barryberg on their Cosmic and Tony Kart chassis, respectively. There's a lot of talent. But one of my absolute favourites coming into this one, Alex, is going to be the young Kart Republic privateer, Edu Robinson, the Spaniard. He's definitely one to watch out for.
Definitely, but there's also a name that I think you might be missing off this list. Someone who I know very well from the B&L karting series. And he just so happens to be in Mini X30 at the Winter Cup with Strawberry Racing from Belgium, Thomas Strouven.
Yes,
very
indeed.
Accomplished young man. I'm just having a look on where he might be racing. He's also going to take part in the kickoff for the B&L karting series in early March. So looks like he's doing both IAME and Rotax this year. That was the secret that was kept from me.
Very good point. There are some other names as well we should give a mention to that will certainly be playing a major part. Piers Sexton Racing's young British star, Freddie Housley. They've spent most of January out testing, and he is absolutely rapid at the moment, so he's definitely going to be one to watch. Certainly in qualifying, he's got a good chance. Louis Leveau will definitely be a contender, as will Thibaut Jallard, both drivers with experience of this category in 2019 in recent times. As, of course, is the Spaniard Daniel Dalakian. He's got a good opportunity coming into this one. So there are some big names, as well as the Swiss ace Tiziano Cugnini. So there's lots of big names to watch out for in Mini, and it's still it's a bit of an unknown quantity at the moment who's going to have the upper hand. So we'll keep an eye on that one, and obviously as we head to Valencia, that will become more clear. Junior. Now this is definitely going to be a bit of a knife edge. We've got a few drivers who are basically doing a dual campaign this year of of both Rotax and of X30, particularly the likes of Marcus Luzio and Alfie Rigby from the United Kingdom. They're doing both over the course of the year, as is Aaron Walker and the Polish driver Oli Pilka. So some big names immediately who want to attack both titles.
Yeah, Daniel Ginchard, recently now new signing at KR Sport. I've been speaking with him quite a lot, seeing how testing has been getting on for Campillos for the Rotax Winter Cup. So he's one that we can't really count out. When he's on his A game, he's really, really strong, and he can also fight back through the field. So Ginchard, I think, is going to be a good shot. Oli Pilka, he's changed a lot since he joined Dan Holland Racing at the beginning of last season, both in IAME X30. I still remember I was actually watching the Wackersdorf highlights when he and Kian Shields actually came together before the first sweeping right-hander, which is turn 3. And Ollie managed to rejoin, but unfortunately Kian was put out to pasture on the grass. But Ollie, when he's going good, he really is strong, and he can battle with the best of them.
There's definitely a few names to keep an eye on in this grid. Freddie Slater, of course, will be a very strong contender, having been the mini conqueror last year. Miguel Pero, now he's moved away from the FA Racing squad, and he's now racing under the ETMC Motorsport banner on a Tony Kart chassis, so that'll be an interesting contender. From Sri Lanka, Yavan David has come over for the Strawberry Racing team. Now, he's definitely a contender. He's one of the stars of IAME Asia's junior program, so he'll be one to keep an eye on. Obviously, a few Brits in the field, as they usually are. Brandon Templeton and Mikai Singh are returning, as is Ben Doughty for Crop Promotion. Speaking of which, we've got Gabriel Stilp going and doing Junior X30. This man has been absolutely dominant in Mini X30 over the course of January. He was at PF International for the Trent Valley Kart Club. He was at Kim Bolton, at Shennington and at Wilton Mill over the last 4 weeks. And he has won the Mini X30 final in every single meeting. That is absolutely astonishing. This kid's definitely going to have a strong weekend.
He's definitely going to have a strong weekend, and hopefully that could kickstart the real momentum through the season. But it can just be one particular moment that could decide how a driver's season goes. I mean, you and I have both seen that, Jake, throughout the last few years since I think I started commentating in Europe back in 2018 in April when I went to Karting Gate. But, we've both seen where that split second where a driver makes a move and it doesn't look like it's going to go through. It happens, and then something goes wrong all of a sudden, and that driver gets spat out the wrong way. But to show a 100% success rate in the last 4 weeks like that, that's clearly got Gabriel with a lot of confidence coming into the IAME Winter Cup at Valencia.
There are some very interesting faces that are stepping up from the mini category into junior this year as well. We've got the likes of Juan Cota from Spain, also his countryman Paul Caillos, who's in the FA Racing squad once again. Freddie Spindlow and Harvey Ryby are going to be two of the top Brits in the mix. Keep an eye out for them. Ruben Volt, of course, the Estonian, will be in his second year as a junior, so he's got to be a hot ticket. Bruno Del Pino is up from the minis, as well as Guillermo Delgado. Arvid Lindblad is going to be making his IAME Euro Series debut at the Winter Cup. That'll be interesting to see how he gets on, again with Oliver Rowland Motorsport on the Red Speed chassis. Bart Harrison will be returning, this time with Mick Barrett Racing, and Nathan Ottink, the Dutchman, will return. Edward Pearson's actually switched from Coles Racing to the Strawberry Racing team for this season, and we've already mentioned, of course, Dan Ginchard, so that'll be interesting to see how they get on. AJ Sofronio will be with Crop Promotion. Archie Walker comes into this season, and he is with the brand new Argenti Motorsport team, which you're going to be hearing a little bit about later in the podcast. But that's an interesting little target there, and I have a feeling that you're going to hear a lot about this over the course of 2020. But of course, over at Strawberry Racing, they haven't just brought Yavan David from Asia, they've also brought the very talented Malaysian Raja Arif, and he's definitely going to be fast over the sharp end. So there are a lot of interesting factors coming into this year, and a lot of new faces, which means we could have a very open playing field for 2020.
You're definitely right, and with the showing that Strawberry have done, not just in IAME, but also in Rotax, which we'll get onto a bit later when we go through to the Winter Cup preview for Karting Campillos. But Strawberry just seem to know to get the right talents on board. And there's quite a few of them. And it's in all three classes, which is quite interesting to see how they've sort of expanded their reach, and they haven't just looked to the British and the Europeans, but they're looking to Asia now, which is a great showing for drivers in that particular part of the world where they don't quite get the opportunities sometimes. and now with the fact that you've recently been over to IAME Asia to Sepang of all places, my friend, it's quite good to see that these top teams are paying attention and thinking, we might have a little bit of a dark horse there.
Yeah, the talent is really starting to come through from Asia, which is great to see. X30 Senior now, and of course, once again, the returning champion, Mark Kimber, is back. He's going to be dovetailing his Brookspeed British GT campaign with more IAME Europe. He absolutely adores his karting, and he's never really going to give it up. Callum Bradshaw was the vice champion last year. He returns for Fusion Motorsport, as does Lewis Gilbert, so he's obviously going to be one to watch. The top 3 drivers from last year are back. But just look at the plethora of talent from Strawberry Racing. We've already mentioned them in the other categories, but look at who they've got this year in senior. They've got Mark Kimber, the American Edward Ports, Cian Shields is retained. Canada's Jason Young has moved across to the Strawberry Racing team for this year. Now, he was very strong as a junior. Dean McDonald back again for the IAME Winter Cup. He adores this event so much. He barely gets the time to do any other, but this one he really loves. But the big name, and you and I can both attest to this one, coming in and doing IAME X30, is Guy Cunnington. He's the Rotax specialist, but he's having a go at IAME X30 this time.
To be honest with you, I'd heard some wind going through the reeds in the off-season, and I'd heard that he had gone with Strawberry. And if I'm completely honest, to switch from Rotax to IAME is a very different proposition altogether. Now, let's not forget that there was it was pretty much a dead heat at the grand finals. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because it had been talked to death. But it was one of the most heartbreaking incidents I think I've ever seen in karting, myself personally, because I was there at Sarno. But Guy, he is also the Motorsport UK senior Rotax champion from last year.
Yep.
And that doesn't go against him. He is a guy that I think could actually really, really showcase how good he is by switching to a completely different discipline for 2020.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you can prove that you are good in one category and then the other, it really does show your versatility. So we'll be very keen to see how he gets on. However, one of the favourites is also in the Strawberry Racing team for the Winter Cup, and that is the Swede Matilda Olsson, who again is another competitor who is looking to do both categories, both X30 and Rotax in February.
Well, she is also the Rotax Max Euro Trophy Senior Max defending champion, and she's also entered the Winter Cup in Campillos as well. Really, I mean, for those that have watched IAME X30 and also Rotax Euro over the last couple of seasons, 2018 was a difficult year for this young lady from Uppsala. She was driving around. I saw her at Kristianstad in July of that year. Knee brace, broken kneecap, crutches, and she still went out there and still finished third in Rotax Euro in 2018. This driver, if she gets it all together this year, she will be unstoppable. But she's got people like Guy Cunnington. Let's not forget the Dorai Diamond. Come on. Everyone's favourite Scotland seniors, Lewis Gilbert. There's such a whole host of talent who are doing dual campaigns, and to see a lot of them, Clementine Benoit from Dames Racing, I think is also racing in Rotax this year as well. So there's a lot of drivers that are doing dual campaigns, and it's not easy, but when someone gets it dialed in, they'll either have both or they'll have one or the other. And for Matilda last year, it was definitely Rotax was in her favour.
So who else are we going to be keeping an eye on in Senior X30 at the IAME Winter Cup? Well, obviously, Callum Bradshaw is not going to be the only Fusion driver in Senior. Alessandro Serenetti is going across to IAME Europe for next year. He's going to be a very tough competitor to beat in a straight fight. Connor Jupp is going to be representing the team as well. So already a very strong entry for Fusion heading into the Senior X30, as well as the Spaniard Maximus Maya, who's going to be there. Speaking of Spaniards, one of the favourites for the event is definitely going to be Mari Boya. Once again, very, very competitive. He will almost certainly be in the top 3 right from the start of qualifying, as will several of the Spaniards going across. Praga have got another strong lineup for this year. Hugo Natale and Jaime Sanz are returning once again. The KR Sport lineup for this year, though, in Senior X30, I mean, goodness me, they have done their homework, and they've got an amazing crew.
They've got Avidan from Sweden, Eduardo Cosatang from the Philippines, another driver that I know very well through my Rotax commentary, Portugal's very own Guilherme de Oliveira. He is rapid, and I've seen him fight back from the field. the bottom part of the field. So Gilhelm, he will know this track very, very well. He was accomplished as a junior. He goes into a second season in seniors. So there's a lot of talking points here, and you can't really discount anyone, Jake.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you've got the returning Chaos Sport drivers like Philip Vava and Sean Butcher. They're going to be back in the mix again. And Alicia Barrett has come into the team, having left BMR. So she's now going to be in a Chaos Sport Cosmic for this season. That's going to be an interesting dynamic. And of course, coming up from junior is Oliver Behrman, and he's going to have the weight advantage of being very, very light. So that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on as well. Obviously, Argenti are hitting their first season in Europe very strong. They've got Tyler Reid on board, as well as Teddy Williams and Morgan Porter. Now that's going to be a bit of a dark horse for the Winter Cup and for the whole European season as well. He's definitely going to be knocking those spots off straight away. The likes of Dan Steenman will be a contender. Dennis Booman, the Dutchman for the Kaya Racing team, looks good. From Dan Holland Racing, they've actually brought in the Indian talent from the United Arab Emirates. Anshul Gandhi is coming across to Europe for the Winter Cup. So again, but there's some big British talent as well, from Caden McQueen, finally making his European debut in the IAME Euro Series, so he'll be one to watch. Pierce Sexton Racing have got Ruben Moyer, who is not only racing but also coaching the younger members of the team. Sadly, off to cars for Reese Ushijima, but he'll be popping in and out over the course of the season, I'm sure. And we won't see the familiar sight, just got in time, the timer, we won't see the familiar sight of Clayton Ravenscroft in the category because, of course, he has joined the Birillart factory squad in the FIA karting brigade, so that'll be interesting to watch. Plenty of names to pick up on as we continue on the programme, though, so we will come back to it. But we wish all of the drivers in the IAME Winter Cup across mini, junior and senior the very best of luck. Every single minute of the time qualifying session, heats and finals will be broadcast live on Downforce Radio, which is a very, very exciting coup for us. So that is what we have to come from IAME Euro. Now, we are going to get on with the news now. Lots of news to come up for. So it is the news updates here on Send It.
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
FIA karting president Felipe Massa has declared the formalisation of technical homologation rules for the mini category worldwide in order to see standardised equipment for chassis, bodywork, brakes, ignition systems, carburetors, intake silencers and tyres heading into 2020. The objective is to see as many countries running a national mini class as possible, and there are still no plans for an international category due to the absence of an international licence for drivers under 12 years of age. The WSK Champions Cup saw the European season commence with Paralin's Russian star Anatoly Kavalkin clinching Mini 60 honours at Adria, as Tiziano Monza won the B final, whilst in OK Junior, Alfio Spina started his season with Kart Republic in victorious fashion, whilst Timotas Kucharczyk grabbed the B race. And finally, after an epic finale, it was British star Taylor Barnard who grabbed the senior OK victory for the Rosberg Racing Academy, ahead of Kirill Smal and Harry Thompson, after Josep Marti was sadly excluded after being found to be underweight. Prasetyo Hagia continued his supremacy in IAME Asia's Senior X30 grid, but with added pressure at Sepang for the IAME Asia Cup, as his battles with Ayato Iwasaki and Christian Ho, who joined him on the final podium, made the fans rock. He now qualifies for the IAME International Final with a winner's ticket, along with junior winner Akshay Bora, cadet winner Travis Teo, and master winner Nick Irawan. Birillart Middle East grabbed the spoils in both Junior and Senior X30, with Suleiman Zanfari sealing the first international win for the Charles Leclerc chassis on its debut at the Dubai O-Plate, and Danny Curl stormed from the back of the grid to snatch the win in Senior X30. Elsewhere, John van der Hart took victory in Veteran behind shifter winner Amner Al-Kubaisi, whilst the cadets saw a victory for local boy Rashid Al-Daheri, with Cohen and Oliver Naylor winning in Bambino and Rookie. The master win was clinched by Maxime Vobrak on her debut in Dubai. There were brilliant races at the Singapore Rock Cup, as Neo Yongli stormed to the senior final win as William Goh clinched the junior win just a week after the IAME Asia Cup, where he finished second. Kenneth Sim won the expert final, John McGregor in expert 50 ahead of Timothy Ong in KF1 GP was victorious, and Timofey Mikhailov grabbed victory in Mini Rock. The AMR Motorplex played host to Superkarts USA for rounds 1 and 2 of the Winter Series, where Mini Swift was shared by Max Garcia and Sebastian Weldon, whilst his brother Oliver Weldon stole the honours in round 1 of Micro Swift, with Kai Johnson winning the second. Andrea Kimi Antonelli dominated KA100 Junior and X30 Junior in both rounds, whilst the KA100 Senior saw IndyCar sensation Santino Ferrucci return to SKUSA to win round 1, as Nathaniel Cicero bagged round 2. Ryan Norberg and Joao Renato Cobellini took a win apiece in Senior X30. Renato Jada David stormed to a pair of wins in Master X30, whilst James Perkins and Gabi Chavez shared the Ignite Senior honours, whilst Dan Breitenstein and Franco Chipulu took victory in the Ignite Masters finals. Class wins in the Pro and G categories were shared by Kyle Wick, Vicente Salas, Alan Isambard and Justin Peck. That's the Global Race Update. Here's Alex with news from Rotax.
Plenty to talk about when it comes to Rotax racing across the globe for this coming month. This coming weekend sees not only the Trent Valley Kart Club Winter Series partake in its second round at Paul Fletcher International, but across the globe there's plenty of Rotax racing action. This weekend, 3 respective championships take themselves into battle, first of which is RMC Colombia, round 3 at Cundinamarca at the XRP Autodrome Raceline for the third round of the Rotax Max Challenge Colombia. The Rotax Max Challenge Japan APG Winter Cup gets underway this weekend at the Gotemba Auto Paradise Circuit, with DD2 Masters and Max Masters in action. And also, qualifying round 1 of the Rotax Max Challenge South Africa KwaZulu-Natal gets underway at the Idube Race Circuit near Pietermaritzburg. Just a week later, the second round of Rotax Max Challenge Mexico Noreste gets underway, and a few days later after that, the 6th of the 8-round championship for Rotax Max Challenge United Arab Emirates, taking place at Oman's Muscat Speedway. Run by Corridas, the Rotax Max Challenge Portuguese Championship gets underway with the first round taking place on the 15th of February at the Cartódromo Internacional do Algarve in Portimao. Also, on the 23rd of February, watch out for the first round of the Rotax Max Challenge Japan season at Suzuka, with DD2 Masters and Max Masters in action. Also, what's more, the South Africans like their leap year days, don't they? Because at the Formula K Business Park in Benoni, just outside of Johannesburg, the first qualifying round of the Rotax Max Challenge South Africa Northern Regions gets underway. The BNL Karting Series has its kick-off in just around 5 weeks' time, hitting now over 95 drivers, with the Junior Max class already fully subscribed to a total capacity of 36, leaving the organisers with a difficult decision. Did they extend the grid to 54? We'll find out in due course. Also, for the Campillos Winter Cup, for Rotax Max Euro Trophy on the 21st to the 23rd of February, W Series and Racing Pride UK's very own Sarah Moore joins myself, Alex Goldschmidt, in the commentary box, and also as the racing analyst and pit lane reporter for that weekend, whereas Silverstone-based commentator and presenter Anthony Jordan joins me for the remainder of the season, starting from Genkin at the Easter Bank Holiday weekend to the first weekend of September, where the season concludes at Wackersdorf at the Pro Kart Raceland Circuit in Germany. However, on that final weekend, what's more, the Deutsche Elektrik Kartmeisterschaft, the DEKM, also makes its Euro Trophy debut, 100% electric, 100% fully charged, and you'll be able to hear about it on Downforce Radio's Rotax Radio that weekend. Also, for the Euro Trophy, one final bit of news. The Minimax class has joined Micromax as a new addition for the 2020 season, following an overwhelming result by a poll recently held on the accounts of Facebook and Instagram for the Euro Trophy, with a cumulative average of over 80% saying that they wanted Minimax. So what's now happening is that for Micromax and Minimax, which will take part in the first 3 rounds only of the Euro Trophy, at Genk on the Easter Bank Holiday weekend, in Adria the last weekend of May, and at PF International for the second weekend of July, every single points winner on both Mini and Micromax, those particular weekends that hit the top step, will automatically be entered, entry ticket only I might add, to the International Trophy being held at Le Mans. When we get on to that now, 3MK and Benoit Perret have already announced not only the new dates for the Rotax Max International Trophy for 2020, which takes place at Le Mans between the 28th of July and the 1st of August, but also they've just announced there is a new website which you can find on their Facebook page, which you can go to directly. Also, the biggest bit of news we've been waiting with regards to the Rotax Racing family has been announced by Rotax itself just on Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock UK time. The destination for the 21st running of the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals was finally announced, and it will take place between the 7th and the 14th of November at the Bahrain International Karting Circuit. What a way for BRP Rotax to see out its centenary amidst the sands of Bahrain. Well, that's it from all the Rotax racing news. Back to Jake with the rest of the roundup.
Former Ferrari and Williams F1 engineer Rob Smedley is launching a new electric karting series designed to make entry-level karting cheaper for new racers in Britain. The all-new Electrohead series was unveiled at the Autosport International show in Birmingham. The Ultimate Karting Championship title winner in 2020 in the Senior X30 class will win a test day with Carlin in the F4 British Championship. A free entry into the British F4 Scholarship Assessment Day is part of the prize, where the winner wins a fully funded season in the 2021 British F4 campaign. Trent Valley Kart Club opened the season with wins in Cadet for Nathan Tighe in IAME and Connor Duncan in Honda, whilst Gabriel Stilp won in Mini X30 and Harry Linden held on for the Minimax win. Success came the way of junior racers Matty Hingley in Rotax and Josh Rowledge in X30, whilst in seniors, Oliver Hodgson opened with a victory for the PFI squad in X30 and James Lowther won in Rotax. At Kimbolton, Michael Walker won in IAME Cadet and Timo Jungling in Honda Cadet. Gabriel Stilp continued his epic start to the year by grabbing the Mini X30 honours again, as Joe Garraway clinched the Minimax victory. Joshua Rowledge swept the board in Junior X30, with Charlie Ellis winning in Junior Rotax, and Dominic Kilmister bagged the Junior TKM prize. TKM Extreme was won by Kai Springfield, with Morgan Porter mastering Senior X30 in his new berth at Argenti. Gabriel Stilp then went on to make it 3 from 3 from Mini X30 with a win at Shennington, whilst Oliver Stewart won in Junior X30 and Lucas Romanek took the Senior X30 honours. Cadets saw Archie Clark win an IAME and the Honda Trophy taken by Timo Jungling once again. Junior TKM was won by Ben Higgins, whilst TKM Extreme went to Zach Bowen, with the Formula Libre race won by Nigel Geraghty. And Wilton Mills saw Gabriel Stilp complete the clean sweeper finals in 4 weeks straight in Mini X30, whilst Luke Watts and Joshua Torpey shared X30 honours in junior and senior. Once more, Nathan Tighe and Connor Duncan took IAME and Honda Cadet wins, whilst Joe Linden took victory in junior Rotax, and Harry Linden repeated his Minimax success from the start of the month. And that's the January news update on Send It.
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
So that is all of the latest from Send It. If there was a particular news story that you feel needs to be updated from a particular type of karting, all you need to do is get in touch with us, downforceuk@hotmail.co.uk. We can't guarantee to squeeze everything in, but we will do our very best. Right, the next event in February is a big one. It is, of course, the Rotax Winter Cup. Alex, this is your baby.
Now I'm going to start my timer, and unfortunately I haven't got Thunderbirds at the end of it.
Never mind.
Never mind. So the Rotax Max Euro Trophy Winter Cup, it's a reinvigoration because obviously Jake's already mentioned promoters RGMMC. Well, they were the original hosts of what was known as the Rotax Max Euro Trophy, Euro Challenge actually for 14 seasons. Camp Company GmbH, now out of Germany, hosts the Euro Trophy. So we'll be heading to Circuito Internacional de Karting Campillos, based about an hour and 15 minutes north of Malaga International Airport. So we're not too far from Seville, Malaga, the Costa del Sol. 1,580 metres of prime Spanish asphalt. We've got, at the minute, around about 245 competitors, if you're listening to it now. 5 different classes. Micromax now introduced for the very first year. Third season of the Euro Trophy. 31,000 euros worth of prizes to give away, which includes free entry to the entire season for the Euro Trophy in all 5 classes. We have about 90 rookies and juniors and seniors. Some of them will be competing for the opportunity to go to the International Trophy at Le Mans in late July, early August. But again, we've talked about a lot of these drivers, Jake. We'll go through some of the Micromax drivers. Now, obviously, you mentioned the Wolf, Rodrigo Seabra. He's also racing in this as well. Ollie Wise, who was third in the Motorsport UK one-off event at Forest Edge last year, which you just so happen to be the commentator on.
Indeed.
He's back again. Along with him, from Down Holland Racing, is Scott Marsh. He's making his Euro Trophy debut in the Winter Cup that weekend as the number 47. We've got quite a few from we've actually, the biggest contingent in this is Finland with 8 drivers. We've got the Estonians as well. So from Estonia, we've got Borodin from AGS Racing, who've actually finished 5th in the Nordic Championship in 2019. And just behind is actually teammate Zhubimov, also from Estonia. You've got Rasmus Koskinen from Finland, Nikita Sinyabok from Belarus. We've got the Netherlands, so we've got Max Sidursky, who was running quite high in the BNL karting series last year. Tom Strele from Latvia as well. Vilo Attola, Santeri Laitonen, Alexander Klugel, who's been running in Clubsport, and also Germany in terms of Rotax Germany last season. Matej Radenkovic as well from Belgium, who's running on a Tony Kart chassis. But there's quite a few drivers in there, Jake. I mean, it's quite... We've even got Egyptians. This is how far...
Yes. Yeah,
how up and down it's gone. We've gone as far east as Asia and the Philippines. We've now gone as far south as Egypt and South Africa.
I was going to give a shout out to the Egyptian contingent all the way from Ghibli Raceway, and I actually saw a couple of weeks ago at the Dubai O Plate Zain El Homossani, very, very talented young kid, and I have a feeling, if they continue their progression, there's a good opportunity for him to be at least top 10 speed. I don't know whether they'll be able to hold it for the entirety of. Also, worth keeping an eye on some of the local contingent. Obviously, the Spanish talent is going to be very strong. Sofia Alcaraz and Ismael Fuentes are, of course, very, very able-bodied at this particular circuit. They know it very well. They're going to have a bit of an advantage. Nicolas Garcia is going to be another one to watch out for, as will Nicolas Stanley. So there's a lot of local talent to support. But it's, again, the might of Micromax at this particular phase of, the 2020 season. There's a lot of talent, as you say, from Finland and from Estonia. I have a feeling it's going to be quite hard to predict who's going to be at the top step.
Definitely. So for the very first event, there's about nearly 40 drivers in that class alone. Juniors, we're closer to 60. Now, just some of the names here. I'll just give you a few run-throughs here. Keeping a look at my time with eagle eyes at the moment, Jake, so don't worry. Callum Voisin from the UK, Coles Racing, he's running in this class. Thomas Solsomanes, who actually won the Grand Festival Austria back in 2018, when Adam Weller actually had to substitute for me because I wasn't available as I was at DTM that weekend. Tom Braken, who's been racing in WSK last year. He's a former B&L Karting Series champion. He is absolutely on a mission. He's running with Stan Pex this year. He's doing B&L Karting Series, Belgium Max Challenge, Euro Trophy, and what's more, 2 of his teammates are definitely 2 twin brothers from the Netherlands that we need to watch out for, Tim and Nick Gerhards. Now, they're all running on the Kart Republic chassis. Tim is the 2019 Minimax champion. He literally won the majority of the races bar, I think, 3. And there was a nice little documentary on Dutch television, which I will have to send to you at some point, where I actually make an impromptu appearance.
Oh, right.
Presenting them on the podium at the B&L Karting Series finale. You've got some great talent here as well. Sam Gornall, who's one of the 40-plus rookies. Marco Aguilera from Spain. Juan Antonio Tapia. Austin Lee, a US guy that's currently German national. He's based over in Germany. He's running with Karchme. You've got the likes of Miro Halika, Alfie Rigby from KR Sports, Arvid Rosen from Dan Holland Racing, Marcus Lazio, Alexander Abskava from Georgia, the only Georgian who has competed. Then we get on to Olli Pilka, who actually finished vice champion in Euro Trophy had he not had a couple of difficult weekends. It didn't really go right for him in Adria because he got penalised, then got penalised further in Sweden a few weeks later, and that sort of really gave the opportunity to both Vilgot Edquist, who ended up 3rd, and Mike Van Vugt, who's now migrated to seniors for 2020, but won't be taking any part in it. Daniel Armstrong in this, Aaron Walker from Strawberry, Dan Ginchard from KR Sports, Petra Babikova, part of the Speedworld Academy, Patrick Knowles, Lokmelis, Kai Relats, a young charger who I know very, very well from the B&L Karting Series, Daniel Hunt from Latvia. There's just so much talent up and above in that class, wouldn't you say, Jake?
Absolutely. I mean, there are some really, really strong youngsters. I have a feeling that you're going to see the likes of Luzio, Pilka, probably Rigby and Ginchard fighting for the win up there, as well as Aaron Walker. You've got to look at some of the foreign contingency there, of course, as well. You've got to look at Drake Jansen. He's a very talented rookie, so that could be a very, very strong performance. I've seen a lot on social media as well from Dan Sugar, the Hungarian. Now, there's a good opportunity for Dan to really make a bit of a play in this part of the season, and that's obviously going to be very, very tough. You mentioned Eliska Babitskova, but also you've got Petra in there as well, and that's going to be interesting because obviously they're running, well, technically one of them, Petra Babitskova, is running the Speed World Academy, but Eliska Babitskova is for Strawberry Racing, so you've got an interesting dynamic there.
Oh, then it gets more interesting when you go to senior. Teresa also with Strawberry.
Very true, very true.
But yeah, I mean, then we get on to seniors. We made an announcement because with Camp Company GmbH, I do a lot of the promotional work, so the videos, social media. We had 70. We were well oversubscribed. We had about 80 drivers on the list, on the registration on EVA. And then last week it was finally decided that we would max out the grid at a whopping 90 drivers. At the moment, we currently have 86 competitors. Now, there's a new team that's just jumped on the scene. I was going to mention this in the news, but I felt it was quite prevalent now because there are 4 British drivers entering into a UK official agent of Sodi. It's called Sodi Vitesse. Quite nice with that little bit of French flair at the end of the name. The 4 drivers, 2 of which, well, actually 3 of which are in seniors. Bradley Barrett, who finished vice champion in the DEKM, the electric championship run by IK Media last year at the grand finals in Sarno. James Johnson joins them. And the 3rd driver in seniors is none other than 2018 Super 1 British senior Rotax champion, Mr. Charlie Turner.
Wow, okay.
That's a lineup and a half, isn't it?
Certainly is. I mean, that's just from one squad. I mean, that's absolutely packed with talent. You've got so many other people for them to go up against. I mean, just from the British contingent, I mean, the list is just astonishing. I mean, you've got Lewis Gilbert.
19 of them.
Lewis Gilbert and Dan Ginchard are in the mix there as well. So both of them are obviously going to be hot contenders.
Well, Dan's running in junior. But yeah, 19 British competitors alone. The biggest contingent in any one single class, and it's seniors. We found out over the last couple of years at Euro Trophy that it's always been oversubscribed. But, you know, you got Tim Mikametz from Germany, very, very competitive. Andreas Heber from Dams Racing. Mark Camerata, Christoph Capitan. You know, you've got Linus Henson, Lucas Thompson, Fahen Mega, who won the Minimax title for the Rotax Grand Finals in 2018 when it went to Brazil. You've got Dylan Leger, Michael Petit, Margot Bonvoisin, Tom Adams, who's now made the jump, Robin Knudson, Ben Casey, Miles Apps, Tom Edmonds, Danny Van Dyke, Maxim Turiev. You know, just the. I mean, there is one driver that I mean, Kian Sang, Kian Shields as well. He's, you know, I'm so happy. And then Mark Kimber's on the entry list as well.
Yes, indeed. I was just going to come to that. That's pretty mega.
But there are 2 brothers we can't forget that are in this. And their dad just so happens to be the new owner of Warden Law, the Hunter brothers.
Yes,
Ty
indeed.
And Reese.
I'm fairly sure this is going to be.
Forget about them.
I'm fairly sure this is the first time they're actually going to be racing each other competitively in the same class for a while.
They raced each other last year. They raced each other last year in senior Rotax.
Oh, okay, fair enough. There are some other names, as you mentioned there as well. Obviously, the likes of Luca Leistra, who was a Ralph Schumacher driver last year. Dean McDonald's going to have a play in this category as well, so that'll be interesting to see how well he can get on. You've also got the likes of Tima Eroshin, the very talented Russian rookie. It'll be very interesting to see how he gets on. Teresa Babitskova, as you mentioned, of course. Philip Vava for KR Sport really loves the Campillos circuit, so it'll be very intriguing to see how he goes. Nicolas Picot in DD2, though. I'm going to kind of jump you into that because there are some big names in DD2.
Before we do that, there is one Italian I need to mention.
Oh, right.
3rd place in last year's Grand Finals at Sarno, Elia Galvan.
Yes, very true.
375. Very, very quick guy when he's on it. But we'll switch now over to Monsieur Picot, who I have seen firsthand. But looking at the names here, you've got Imke Arts from the Netherlands, you've got Juso Pantela, Jan Schwitter, Daniel Mahacek, who was part of Speedwell, then he's moved over, he went to Dames last year, Vendelbo, Luca Muneretto, a very quick, accomplished Italian.
Yep.
David Remy, another Swede from Down Holland Racing. But then there's one driver who, to me, could have taken the title last year. He is the two-time reigning and defending DD2 B&L Karting Series champion, Belgium's Zander Schreblak from Bouvin Power. He was one step away. I mean, obviously, there was the controversy last year at the final round at Wackersdorf with Peter Bezel. Numerous infractions on a technical perspective, and he was ejected from the meeting, couldn't compete in both finals. Jakob took the title, but Zander could have had it had he finished a bit higher up in the last final of the year. But I mean, just looking at those names, you've got a few Lithuanians in there, the Spanish like Alejandro Lahoz.
Yes, he's definitely going to be a factor.
You know that you're going to have the Spanish and the Portuguese. Coutinho is in there. Jose Barros, one of the other Portuguese drivers. You've got Sebekis from Latvia, Siemitkowski and Janszewski from Poland with a Polish named team that I cannot pronounce. Never going to try it, never will.
Would that be the Wojciechowski motorsport team?
Yeah, I'm going to ask them how they say it.
I'm fairly sure it's Wojciechowski, but I'm sure they're going to correct me.
But I mean, you've got Niklas Krenz from Germany, Mark Bartels, both teammates at 42 competition. Nikolai Steen from Norway, Gerhard from France. I mean, but then Nicolas Pico, we know how quick this guy can be. But with about 90 seconds remaining, we're going to go to the older class out of the lot. And there are quite a few names in there. Franck Leverne, Rudy Champion, Ido Adrisani from Germany, Slavomir Moransky, who is actually the inaugural DD2 Masters champion from the Euro Trophy back in 2018, has had a difficult season. Obviously, for those that didn't see on social media, 46 team had a lot of their equipment burnt to the ground, unfortunately. Slavomir was on the back foot at the grand finals and unfortunately suffered a collarbone break, which put him out in the heats. Christophe Adams from Belgium, multi-time champion. He's raced all over the globe. He is the most decorated in form of appearances, 14 times at the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals in Sarno last year. You've got Carl Klibort, who is the reigning and defending BMC, that's Belgium Max Challenge and B&L Karting Series DD2 Masters champion. He had a 100% success rate until the final weekend of the B&L when it all started coming down. But, I mean, just some of those names in there. Andreas Schindler, Jan Carlsson, Conrad Bayer, who I know very, very well indeed, is a good buddy, and he sounds more like a Brit when he speaks English than a German.
It's absolutely fantastic. What an amazing array of competitors across the classes. The ones I'm really particularly looking forward to out there, Bruno dos Santos is surely going to be a contender, the Frenchman. Andreas Schindler, as you've already mentioned, I'm really excited to see what he can do. Also, the likes of the French talent, Franck Leverne, Rudy Champion. And obviously, I think everybody wants to see Christophe Adams have another great weekend. So, yeah, plenty of talent within that field of DD2s, DD Masters.
And with that, 15 minutes is up.
We just about got through it.
Just about got through it. But, as you probably already heard in the news, the Rotax Max Euro Trophy Winter Cup kickstarts our new channel, Rotax Radio for 2020.
Yes,
9 different race weekends, 6 different race circuits, and also 5 different countries. And you can actually listen to both me and also our very special racing analysis, racing expert, and also special pit lane reporter from W Series and Racing Pride UK, the one, the only, the awesome Sarah Moore, from 4:20 Central European time on the 21st of February. We are actually qualifying for the first time in Euro Trophy history, Jake, on the Friday afternoon. We'll have 2 hours of qualifying action and then 2 full days of racing. You can watch it on the Camp Company GmbH YouTube stream, but also you can listen to it via Spreaker, via us here at Downforce on Rotax Radio. And that's the Winter Cup at Karting Campillos between the 21st to the 23rd of February.
Excellent. Nicely done. So, yes, of course, if you haven't already gathered, we are going to be live for both of the Winter Cups in February. The IAME Winter Cup at Valencia and, of course, the Rotax Max Challenge Winter Trophy as well, taking place at Campillos. So that is 2 massive weekends, and you can listen to them on IAME Radio and Rotax Radio, respectively, right here on Spreaker from Downforce Radio. Not bad at all. Right, we're going to talk a little bit now about a brand new team that is going to be entering in X30 and OK categories in a very exciting new squad that is making its waves in motorsport in 2020. Its name, Argenti Motorsport, and earlier in the month I went down to Wilton Mill to try and meet a few of the competitors that are going to be making those headlines in the new season.
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
A brand new team for 2020, Argenti Motorsport have an exciting new ethos for the sport at national and international level, as outlined by the founder of the team and sporting director at Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1, Ron Meadows.
The rationale for starting the team was to try and help cars progress into cars. My background is all about car racing and at the higher level, but I'm really quite passionate about the karting, and I thought it was an opportunity to try and help some of the drivers coming through.
It looks as though the drivers you picked have been very much about the enjoyment factor and the passion of the sport, rather than necessarily just the results. Is that something that you're quite focused on?
The results are important, but it's also, you've got to remember that we're all privileged to be involved in motorsport, and we want them to enjoy it, because not everyone's going to make a Formula 1 driver, but everyone can enjoy it, and that's make sure that we get the best we can be, but also ensure that we enjoy every second we're sat in the car or working on the car or working with the drivers and trying to help them grow as young men, young ladies, also as human beings.
One of the interesting things I noticed about this team as a new operation compared to some of the other teams is that you guys are very much focused on driver development from the human side as well as the on-track side. Do you think that's an element that's been missing from young driver development?
I'm not sure it's been missing. I think whether our approach will be a great deal different to other academy type things will be different. I'm not saying we're going to run an academy, but we're trying to nurture and help the drivers and learn from the mistakes we all made in, with our experience, and make sure that they behave in a manner on track and off track which will help them grow.
And it's been good to see that you've been able to give an opportunity to the youngsters out there to be with someone like George Russell, who's in the Formula 1 world, but also, of course, has come through this world and has done that work and knows how to impart that knowledge to people. I mean, it must be quite satisfying to see the opportunity to give something back to them.
George is fantastic. I'm fortunate enough to work with many great drivers, with Lewis, and Michael, and Valtteri, and Jensen, and many others, and they're all passionate about the karting. And when I mentioned to George that we go to Wilton Mill and would he fancy popping up for a few laps, he said, no problem, when can I come? So he's drove up from London. It's taken 2.5 hours in the traffic. He's spent all day driving around and working with the young drivers and sharing data and joking with them about performance, and I'm sure he'll come back for some more.
So as the season progresses, you guys are obviously going about a program which is both really good for development but also very eager. You guys are clearly quite passionate about where you want to be and the kind of competitions you want to go in for. You're going to be in Europe as well as in the British scene. You guys are clearly coming at this with no illusions about how hard it will be, but also with a lot of ambition to push forward.
No, absolutely. We should embrace the challenge. We know there's many excellent teams out there, and we certainly are not setting the standard currently because we haven't done anything, but we know that we've got to roll our sleeves up and we've got to leave our lights out on longer in the workshop than everyone else on the awning, and we've got to really sweat blood to see if we can match them, but that's part of the fun and the chance.
So who are the drivers? Well, the first is the very talented OK and X30 senior racer, Tyler Reid.
Yeah, pretty good at the minute. It's going good so far. A bit quicker last race that we've done at PF last weekend. Been quick today, all of us have. It's been a really good day today. So,
what are your first impressions of the culture at the team?
Really good. We've got some good people in the team at the minute, some quick drivers. So all together it should be good. All learning off each other, off the data and stuff. So yeah, it should be good.
And the Kart Republic chassis coupled with the IAME engine, how does it feel when you're out there?
Yeah, the chassis is good, especially in the wet. That's when I most enjoy it. Still good in the dry, really good in the dry. All conditions is good, and the motors at the minute we're just tweaking them, but yeah, we're finding some good ones at the minute. So yeah, good.
And obviously you've been out there today with Formula 1 driver George Russell. That must be quite a surreal experience.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I never thought I'd be doing that when I started karting, to be out with George today. So yeah.
It seems as though Ron and Danny are very committed to not only making the team work, but making it very much about you guys rather than as an entity.
Yeah, Ron and Danny put loads into the team, loads of time, loads of effort, everything to make it all how it is now, and it's really good how it is. Together they work really well, and they just make it like more for the drivers instead of for the results instead. So that's how karting should be really. It's more about having fun.
Are you getting a sort of an idea at the moment that this might just be like the tip of the iceberg? This is literally just about to get started into something quite special.
Yeah. It just feels surreal really, like I've got the right people around me to go up the steps in like motorsport, so hopefully something will happen from this, and it feels good for it to happen, yeah.
A young junior talent who's already been making waves as a McLaren young driver is Archie Walker.
Well, obviously it was time for a change. We felt that it was necessary. So it's been started by Danny Sweeney and Ron Meadows, and it seems like a really good initiative, using the kart, a public kart, and it seems it's all going well at the moment.
So you've been out there a few times, you've had a couple of race meetings now and a lot of testing. What's the first impression?
First impression is the kart's really good in the wet, the team's functioning well, and we think we've got it down to a pat, and we're looking forward to the European and British season.
Tell us a little bit about the culture within this team compared to some of the other operations you've been with. What's it feel like being part of this operation?
It feels professional, but I think all teams feel that way. They all try and be as good as they can, but I feel like this team, they strive for the best and they care about results.
It's interesting because there seems to be a lot of onus on you guys enjoying yourselves, almost more than the preparation of the karts. Is that nice and refreshing as a team to be in?
I feel like it's always nice when the team focus on the driver more than the karts, because at the end of the day we're driving it and we need to feel comfortable within the environment that we're in.
And obviously some incredible people around you. I mean, Ron obviously with his reputation within the Mercedes team, it almost feels as if you're on the cusp of something quite great moving forward.
Yeah, it feels amazing. Obviously with the F4 team as well, it's always something to aspire to, and we're just looking forward to working with them, winning races.
And obviously you've had a really nice treat out there today because you had George Russell to play with. Did you ever think that was on the cards for
I never thought that was going to happen. But it's been so nice just him being here, hearing about his mentality, and then also obviously having a play on the track.
I mean, obviously in motor racing he's famous for being a Formula 1 driver, but he was one of the stars coming through karting. What's it like to learn from someone like that?
I mean, it's amazing just to hear all these stories, all his knowledge. It's just really something to inspire us all.
So you're moving again into the European scene and taking even a step up now. Do you feel more confident about it knowing that this is the team you've got behind you?
Yeah, I definitely feel comfortable in the environment I'm in, and I'm looking forward to the European season. It's going to be tough with some strong competitors, but I feel like we can make it happen.
Moving across from the Wilton Mill-based M-Sport operation is Samuel Hawthorne.
Very good. I think since I've moved over, I've developed as a driver. And it's a good part, I think.
So, what is the real nature of this team compared to some of the other teams that you've been involved with?
I think there's a real desire to win, and we'll do everything to win. And there's this hungriness to win every race we're at.
And it seems that what Danny and Ron have put together here is a real family team, even though it's a very professional run team. There seems to be a real onus on you guys enjoying yourself. Is that refreshing?
Yeah, everyone's very close to this team. We all get on. I think that's good to moving forward because we can use each other to get better.
A little bit about the programme in 2020. It's obviously going to be a new challenge and a new step up. How are you preparing for that?
Well, I'm going to be giving it everything, hopefully to get a seed this year, because we came close last year but didn't quite work out.
And today you've had a real special treat in that having a Formula 1 driver out there with you. What's that like when you're in the car?
It feels very, very good to be out there with him. Very privileged. There's not many people get to do it. I think he understands where we're at the moment as well. He's gone through it, so he can help us as well.
And for the first time in national competition, another impressive senior talent, Ollie Meadows.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great day. Of course, George was here, so great for all the drivers and good bonding day. Not too stressful today, not really going for lap time, just having a good day, really. The track isn't, of course, the best it can be. It's greasy, we're on slick tyres, so just a bit of fun and trying to stay on the black side.
So tell us about the Kart Republic chassis melded with the IAME engine. I mean, what does it feel like when you're out there?
It feels really good. It feels really good in the wet. Probably been it is my main kart for this year, and of course, the silver feature. And I think it's a good kart, loads of grip, and so far so good.
Now, you've been karting a fair few times in fairly different operations. What's the feeling like within this team as a starting point?
It's a really good environment. Of course, everyone's really friendly. Everyone's so nice to each other. We try not to also upset any of the drivers. And everyone helps each other as well. Data is shared around, and if you can, like if someone's in junior and senior, you just tell them any things about the track before their session. Just try and help everyone out.
As well as having a focus on performance and results and development, there seems to be an essence of enjoyment within the team. Is that something that is quite refreshing as a new starting team?
Yeah, it is. It's don't want it to be too stressful and everyone's being annoyed. It's nice to have good fun with people that you care about, because that's what matters a lot in karting, just having a really good time as well as taking it very seriously.
And you're one of only a handful of drivers now to have started their motor racing season having a play out on track with a Formula 1 driver. What's it like having George there?
Oh, it's been great. It's been so helpful, and constantly asking what times you've done when we come into the sessions, and it's been really fun having a good race and a bit good bash about with him on track.
So your focus obviously in 2020, you're going to be doing a lot of racing with this particular kart in this team. I mean, what are your objectives going into the new year?
Just progress as much as a driver. I want to look back at the end of next year and look at this interview and see exactly, wow, I mean, from how I am now, I've learned so much and just won so much more and just progressed as a person and as a racing driver.
Running the day-to-day operations for the team, which will not only run a karting outfit, but also a squad in British F4, Danny Sweeney.
So, obviously a new team on the block, hoping to get some good results in 2020 and also use our partnership with people outside of kart racing to try and boost the image of karting and also motorsport, and open up paths and ladders for people looking to go from karting up to further Formula single seaters or tin tops or things like that. So we have a lot of connections in different areas that we could hopefully make that happen.
It looks as though this is one of the more interesting and unique new kart teams that have come in the last 10 years, because you guys have a very different approach compared to some of the others.
Yeah, so I think the difference with us compared to a lot of other teams is we have a different outlook on it. We have a fresh set of eyes, if you like, looking from higher up in motorsport, looking into karting and seeing sort of links in the chain that haven't been filled before. Obviously as well we have a Formula 4 team operating under the same roof at our workshop in Banbury, so it'll be good for the drivers, for the kart drivers, to see the progression into Formula 4 all under one roof really. So that it's a very easy option for them.
It seems as though you guys have come in with very much an attitude of making an improved environment, but also a more linear route up to the top of the sport.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping ultimately. Again, with motorsport, anything's possible. So hopefully it will go that way. No, we can't say it definitely will, but we're hoping to open the doors for people and show them that there are options going forward.
And last but not least, the man they've all been buzzing about. Joining them at Wilton Mill for a very special testing session was Williams Formula 1 driver and, of course, a former karting sensation, George Russell.
George, great to see you back at Wilton Mill and in an IAME kart for the first time in about 3 billion years.
Yeah, it feels about that. I mean, obviously pretty busy at the moment. I really always want to get out on a go-kart, but I do struggle to find the time, but now I have, and great day out with Argenti.
So tell us a little bit about Argenti Motorsport and what it's been designed for.
Well, I think it's just a new up-and-coming team. They're obviously on the Kart Republic kart, and Ron Meadows looking after the team. Obviously, he's one of the main guys at Mercedes F1, so I'm sure they're going to be doing well in the kart scene.
And you've been out there with the drivers within the team for 2020. What's your first impression about the culture of this operation?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, great bunch of guys. The mechanics are great guys. The drivers, they're all friends and everything. So I think that really helps to push the team forward, and they're definitely a good bunch of drivers.
Now, you've come through the karting world both at regional and domestic level here in the UK and in Europe, and you already know, having come through that getting a right feel for a team and an operation is really important when you're going through your karting years. How important do you feel that is as a young driver to come through?
Well, I think you just need to find the environment you're comfortable with, really. I mean, when I first started karting, it was dad and lad, but when I got into a team with the right people around me, and it definitely made the difference, and it worked for me. But definitely, the competition in the UK at the moment is at such a high level, so I'm sure these guys are going to be right on it from the off.
It seems initially that the onus on the team at the moment seems to be not just about the desire for performance and results, but it's also about the enjoyment factor within the team. Do you think that's something that's been missing from karting at times?
I mean, I've not been in the karting scene for a while, but I know when I was in karting, there was, you had to enjoy it. Everybody's got to have fun. You've got to take it seriously, but you've got to enjoy it at the same time. And I think if you can really find that right compromise, it's almost a key to success.
And like a lot of the other Formula One drivers, you also try to get back out in a car wherever possible. It's how you came through the sport. It's how you learn what it is to be a racing driver. How important is it to keep your hand in it for training?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, karting is the purest form of motorsport, and it's especially during this off season for us. It's just great to get back out there. At the end of the day, karting's the same as Formula One with the sense of you've got to brake as late as you can, carry the speed through the corners, hit your apexes, and these main factors are the same throughout all of motorsport. And coming back doing it in the karting scene is it's great fun as well. So I enjoy it.
And of course, you had the IAME engine powering the Kart Republic chassis around. What's the feel of that like when you're behind the wheel?
I think these X30 engines, they've got a real buzz to them, and it feels great within the car. They've got a lot of bottom end, and it feels nice. It wasn't the best day here at Wilton. It was a bit moist all day, so I couldn't fully experience it. But nevertheless, it was really good.
Unfinished business then, for a certain.
Well, no, I'm not too sure. I think I'm definitely going to get back out more often. That's for sure.
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
Fantastic to hear from the likes of Archie Walker, Sam Hawthorne, Tyler Reid and Ollie Meadows, as well as their advisor, good old George Russell. I tell you what, Formula One drivers have been making some karting headlines recently, because we had both George and Alex Albon out recently testing at Lonato. They were out in some shifter karts. So it just kind of proves that, one of the things we love about this sport of karting is Formula One drivers just cannot get enough of karting.
Well, especially when Charles Leclerc actually goes into links with Birolot for a factory team.
Very true. And of course, as we've already mentioned in the news earlier this month, Suleiman Zanfari, the Moroccan star, actually grabbed the Charles Leclerc's first ever victory on its competitive debut at the Dubai O-Plate. Absolutely fantastic. Ronnie Salah could not have smiled wide enough if he tried, bless him. Really, really great performance. And also that of Danny Curl, who, of course, 2 days later got himself a Formula 4 test. As much as we love Danny Curl going Formula 4, we all want him to stay in karting, of course, but great for him to get such an opportunity.
Well, definitely. I mean, Danny's been a standout talent. Funny enough, his name was mentioned at the recent Trent Valley Kart Club Awards when we had the man, the myth, the legend that is Mr. Paul Fletcher himself talking about the fact that we crowned 2 champions on the same weekend at the same circuit, and it was both world titles. So,
yep.
Danny is held in a lot of high esteem, especially with Jade Racing. Through his efforts with helping them out throughout 2019 and beyond. I can't really wait to see what Danny does next.
Absolutely. Speaking of the British karting scene, this is our final section of the first ever podcast of Send It. We are going to talk about the British karting scene this year because there's a lot of changes, a lot of adaptations and a lot of evolving going in the British karting scene for this year. Obviously, we need to talk about the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships. They are once again running the 3 separate weekends for the 2020 season, Alex. It'll be separate for Rotax in one weekend, IAME in another, and then, of course, TKM Honda and the KZ2 category in another. And obviously, provided that the grids are all as healthy and as active as they were last year, should be another fantastic year.
Yeah, also with the fact that KZ2 now expands to 5 race weekends for 2020, from what I understand. But as always, as we had last year, Rotax actually kicks things off at PF International between the 21st and the 22nd of March, which is around about sort of 50 days away. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite interesting. You know, there's been a lot of changes with the tracks. I mean, it's the final round for Rotax this year. You know, there's been a lot of switch arounds with what circuits they are going to, and it's going to be quite fascinating how we're going to see, have people gone up classes, have people decided to stay where they are there people that feel there's a bit of unfinished business in the categories. It's going to be quite interesting to see. I mean, a big congratulations, first of all, obviously, with the recent Motorsport UK British Kart Championships awards evening, that the event that got the race weekend that got event of the year was at Mansell Raceway, of all places.
Yep, it certainly was.
That was one you were present at, and obviously we had 1992 Formula One World Champion and 1993 IndyCar Champion Nigel Mansell in full effect, with son Leo in tow.
We did indeed. In fact, now that you've mentioned it, Alex, we do actually still have that interview with Nigel Mansell. Let's hear back from it. So we're here at Mansell Raceway, just down the road from Honiton in Devon, and we're with the 1992 Formula One World Champion, Nigel Mansell, who oversees all of the activities at Mansell Raceway. Nigel, great to see you, and great to be here for the British Karting Championships.
Yeah, I mean, fabulous to be part of it and see how it's all run, and I mean, the MSA Motorsport are doing a fantastic job, and all the officials and workers here. It's I have to say, it's working like clockwork. They got everything covered, and you couldn't ask for more.
Now, obviously, a lot of the motorsport fan base know you as a Formula One World Champion, but many fewer will probably not know that your sporting life actually began in the world of karting in its infancy, and you've come through the world of karting. You were one of the first major Formula One competitors to actually start racing in karting. What was it like back in those days?
Oh, it was fabulous. I mean, we we didn't have the sophistication that they have now with the karts and the engines. I mean, I can remember one of my engines falling off the kart, and I thought the chain had come off, and the marshal said, "No, your engine's back there." So yeah, our engines cost at that time between £5 and £15. So we're going back a long time, but it was so much fun. An occasion for the whole family. Total grassroots racing. There wasn't any health and safety back then. It's the tracks we raced on. You know, if you hit a big tractor tyre, it wasn't a good thing. It really wasn't. But so much fun, and obviously to see where it's grown today and be at the championship here at Mansell Raceway with the British Championships with the Motorsport UK is fantastic.
And the amazing amount of work that you and the team have put in to bring Mansell Raceway here for the first time to the British Championships. I mean, for you guys, this really is a labour of love. It's not just about the prestige. You guys really have a passion for karting here.
Yeah, we made a decision as a family, quite a few years ago that we'd like to put something back into the sport as opposed to spending money trying to compete. And have a place where people can come and enjoy themselves for the weekend, whether it be testing or whether it be doing a club race with karting. And that's exactly what we've done here at Dunk as well. We've, over the years now, developed the circuit. We've been fortunate to get planning where we've got a proper clubhouse now where people can actually feel comfortable and come and have a drink and tell their own stories and do a little bit of corporate karting if that's what they want. And to put something like that back into the sport, I think was very, very important to ourselves and the family.
And it's very fitting that the class that's here for the British Championship is Rotax, because, of course, when Leo and Greg started racing, it was Rotax that they were into. So there's a lot of history in this one event, but I think it's the beginning of something pretty special.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I mean, hopefully this will all grow in stature and we look forward to welcoming the British Championships back again next year in 2020.
Now the circuit here, it's quite a challenge for drivers because this is not your normal common garden race circuit. It's a very fast-flowing technical challenge. It's somewhere between a very modern, upbeat racetrack, and there's even a little bit of an element of a sort of a street circuit around the far side because of how tight and how narrow it is. There's not a lot of runoff in areas, so a lot of the drivers we've been speaking to over the weekend have said, this is not a circuit like anywhere else in the country.
No, well, that was done deliberate to try and challenge the drivers. I think there are some fairly good runoffs in some very, very fast corners. However, in some medium speed and really tight corners, there's no bailout at all. So if you do make a mistake, you're penalised. On saying that, it gives the driver some satisfaction back. There's too many circuits now which are just wide open. And there's no satisfaction for a driver there who makes mistakes and just drives back on the circuit. Here you've got a mixture of everything. You've got some very technical chicanes. You've got 3 corners, a bit like Beckett's at Silverstone, that you've got to get them all right to put a very fast lap together. But on saying that, if you get it wrong, which a lot of drivers do, it gives you that overtaking opportunity in the middle of a corner. And I think that's so exciting. We've got an Indianapolis corner, so we've got a 5 to 10 degree bank, which people don't realise, on the one corner. Then it goes into like a street part of the racetrack where then all of a sudden the track closes in on you. And that's down the far end with the far end hairpin and the approach down there, so it's like going down into a tunnel. And it's all been done in a clever way to give a driver different challenges all within the same lap. And technically, you cannot just roll over and think, I can learn this track in a few laps. It takes several tests and several race meetings to come to grip with it.
And I think I speak for everybody here. We're hoping that this is the beginning of a very strong and long era for Mansell Raceway and the British Championships and karting as a whole. Thank you, Nigel. Thank you for all the work you've done.
Well, thank you, everybody who's listening to this. And, come and have fun. Come and see where Mansell Raceway is at Dunkerswell, and come and see the track and the clubhouse. It speaks for itself.
Thank you. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
There you go. A 1992 Formula One world champion on the first ever Send It podcast. Not bad, eh? Not bad at all. Coming into the new season, actually, one of the things that I do find very interesting about the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships calendar for 2020, looking at it, the absence of Wilton Mill is very intriguing. However, what's even more interesting is the return of Warden Law. Now, I haven't watched a British karting championship meeting at Warden Law since about 1998. I know they ran. I know they ran it after that point, but it's fantastic to see that the kart is back, thanks to the Hunter family going in and purchasing. And provided that the homologation goes okay, I think it's a fantastic coup for the northeast of England. It's a splendid venue. It certainly was in the days when Lewis Hamilton and Alex Lloyd were swapping paint. I think it's going to be an absolutely brilliant return.
Oh, definitely. I couldn't agree more, Jake. Enough. Now that you mention, they're going to have a very, very special guest commentator very soon this month. You ever remember a guy by the name of Joe Bradley, by any chance?
Yes,
from Radio Le Mans?
That name does ring a bell.
He's going to be commentating at Warden Law for one of their rounds in February, and I cannot put. He's an absolute karting nut. I mean, I don't think there's a person that Joe Bradley doesn't know in the world of motorsport.
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, that's a big coup, really, to get Joe Bradley to commentate there. But, I mean, I think it's just sort of helping go back to his roots, because obviously Joe's done a lot of work overseas with Radio Le Mans and John Hindhaugh and everyone, Shea Adam. So for him to go back to the roots, I think it's, as you posted on Instagram, it's like, never forget where you came from.
It's very true.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, very true. I mean, I was very privileged to return to my good old friends at Daytona Motorsport this past weekend, actually. I went and did the Winter Enduro with them. Love a bit of Arrive and Drive. I still, to this day, adore Arrive and Drive karting. It's so pure. So much fun. Speaking of which, we have got a new Arrive and Drive series for the 2020 season, which is being run by Piers Sexton Racing. And it is the Tillotson T4 series. Now, this is a brand new championship. It was launched a few weeks ago at the Autosport International Show. The whole season for under $3,000. That is an absolutely incredible price.
I think most people are going in there saying, right, can I snap your arm off? Where do I sign? I mean, $3,000 and that's for how many weekends?
So you have to head over to the website, pierssextonracing.com. Piers will obviously take any questions that you have on it as well. But the new T4 series, it's basically running with a brand new kart, essentially. Well, I say it's a brand new kart. I mean, it is the T4 series kart. It's the T4 C1 chassis with the 4-stroke engine, the TPP 225 RS. Obviously, the slick tyres, regular hydraulic brake system, the tubular frame, aluminium wheels. It's basically, the kart is available at an RRP plus VAT of $2,950. So obviously you have to take VAT into consideration, but that is still an absolutely phenomenal price for a racing machine. And then for the season, I mean, they're doing a lot of rounds at the Daytona circuits this year as a starting point. So you'll have rounds at the Daytona Milton Keynes, Tamworth, and obviously at Sandown Park as well. Mm-hmm. But it's a great entry level series for people who are wanting either to get into karting for the first time as a senior or to come back into it. They've had a lot of interest from the people who used to run in the Daytona D-Max Championship. Because obviously that's been gone for, just over a year now, and unfortunately it's not returning for the 2020 season. So this is a perfect gap in the market for them.
Yeah, but then you have to look at the other one that's been around for quite a time, and that is, of course, Club 100.
Yes,
they've been
indeed.
around for quite a few years, over 2.5 decades, and I had a really, really good chat with John Vigor. I mean, there's some names that you and I will both know from our days at D-Max: Mike Copping, Chris Alcock, Alex Pritchard, Anwar Barrell-Smith, all that lot. They all compete in that championship. And the good thing is that Club 100 was an affiliate of Motorsport UK in 2019. But there were some major big developments. Obviously, the karting pathway through Motorsport UK has changed significantly in the last 12 months. And now, as of the Autosport International, as of Kartmania last year, it became a recognised club of Motorsport UK. The introduction of the Arrive and Drive only specific KX licence, which Club 100 and John Vigor have said it is completely free. We'll send you out the paperwork, you send it back, you get your licence, no need for a medical. But also, Club 100 have an even bigger standpoint. In 2019, they switched to the Rotax Max Evo engine. And what's more, Club 100 is now in association with Rotax.
Yep.
As Stefan Gruber came over, and I know Stefan through my work through both the B&L karting series, Rotax Euro, and for those that do already know that I'm also commentating in German for the very first time this season for Rotax Max Challenge Germany.
Sehr gut, mein Herr. Sehr gut.
Yeah, dankeschön. Well, my German's got a lot better than that over the last 18 months. Let me be
Thank goodness for that.
But yeah, there was a big song, and I also work personally with Jag Rotax, Jag Engineering, with John, Gene, Gary, and Tina, and the whole team, working with them in a social media and PR capacity.
Yeah,
and it was great to see Stefan. He's got this he's got a magnificent beard for an Austrian. Magnificent beard.
Wonderful.
Puts Chris Daines in the shadows a little bit, but, really nice guy. And I cannot say enough about JV and the team at Club 100. Chris Simpson, who works behind the scenes a lot. I think I might even be working at a Club 100 race this year. I think I've been asked, but I'll keep tabs on that, and I'll let you know when that does happen.
Absolutely. We'll keep an eye on Club 100 as well. We're good friends of a lot of the people involved both on and off the grid there. So we'll keep an eye on Club 100 as the season goes. Speaking of racing clubs that are now aligned with Motorsport UK, the Daniel Ricciardo series. It was basically non-MSA for many, many years, and then obviously Motorsport UK came in last year as the championship rebranded from what was known as the Birolart UK series. In 2020, they are going to be Motorsport UK affiliated, so again, that's going to give a lot of young drivers some brilliant opportunities to step up the ladder, and I have a feeling that just as it was in 2019, and I was a absolute avid fan of the category in 2019, some brilliant races from them. Well, it's never boring in that, but it's always been absolutely fantastic. I have a feeling that 2020 is going to be an even stronger year for the category. They've already got massive interest from all of the different categories, so I'm sure they're going to have another thrilling season. Speaking of a thrilling season, there's another new championship. I was saying that a lot in 2020, are we? But there's another new championship.
We are indeed, mate.
Yep, it is the IKR Cadet Kart Championship, which is being run by Matty Street of teamkarting.co.uk. Now, this is a fabulous new coup for the cadets, basically. The idea is that they thought about the world of cadet karting and they realised that at times it can get very expensive. So essentially, what you need to know about the Cadet Kart Championship, it is an IKR series. If you don't know what IKR means, it means independent kart racing. Basically, the engines are sealed. They will be Honda GX200 Pro Extremes, and they are sealed by RPM Racing. There's a maximum allocation of just 4 sets of tyres that can be used through the entire season, not a weekend. 4 sets through the whole season, and they've got to be Dunlop SL3s and KT3s. Every round's going to have a number of trained mechanics on hand to advise with setup, and of course it's basically meant as a fun and fair playing field. They're going to be visiting Rowra, Lydd, Teesside, Llandau, Wilton Mill, Glanagorse, Fulbeck. It's a fabulous calendar. There's also going to be the C Plate, which is taking place in June. They are keeping tight-lipped as to where they're going for that. But if I know Matty Street, that's going to be an absolutely fantastic event. Head over to their website now if you're interested, cadetkartchampionship.co.uk. It's a fabulous new way to keep the costs down if you are a cadet racer or thinking about putting your son or daughter into cadets. Fabulous idea from Matty Street.
And also one of our 2019 Downforce Award winners, the National Autistic Society Award. And funny enough, for those that haven't on social media, a previous winner of that, Alessandro Ballesteros, presented him with a framed picture, didn't he? Which you helped to sort out as well.
I did indeed. Award. Yeah, there were some nice little conversations going on behind the scenes on that one.
I bet there were. But, it's through Team Karting out of Rochdale, is where he's based. I've known Matty for a couple of years through Will Moore, whose son Seb originally raced in the Bambino Kart Club. But yeah, another great initiative. And I think there's so many of these newer championships that are trying to make it easier for a dad and lad operation to go karting and have fun.
Absolutely. While we're talking about that, there is another championship that we need to keep an eye on for 2020, and that is the TDI Media Micromax Series. Now, this is going to be very entertaining because obviously Micromax was demonstrated for the first time at the tail end of 2019 at the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships at Forest Edge. We've already mentioned it. For 2020, they are really going to be putting their weight behind a full campaign. The Micromax Series is going to have all heats and finals filmed. It's going to be groundbreaking for karting coverage in the United Kingdom. Normally, you just film only the pre-final or the final. Mostly it's the final, but this is going to have all heats and finals filmed. They're going to be visiting Rowra, Clay Pigeon, Rissington, Houghton Park, Llandau, Fulbeck and Shennington through the year. Fantastic 8-round calendar, and again, the prize money that they're putting up for this is going to be worth it for everyone to have a crack at. If you're interested, head to tdi-media.com. We'll be picking up that story more over the course of 2020, as yours truly will probably be called upon to voice it, because if it's got TDI Media, Alan will drag me out of bed and keep me kicking and screaming, and I will go round the corner to his house and we'll get it all sorted. That will be another fantastic championship to have a look at. Really looking forward to it.
Definitely, and obviously with Modus Motorsport being one of the backers, because one of the requirements, you have to buy one engine from Modus, or your Micromax engine has to be sealed and checked properly by the technical delegates of said championship as well, if memory serves me correctly. So.
Correct. Now, there's just one more thing we want to touch on heading into the 2020 season, and that is, of course, Super One Series. Now, they went into 2019 with a tough mission ahead. They obviously had the wind kicked out of their sails a little bit by the news that Motorsport UK was going to take over the British Karting Championships, but they dug deep, they found some good dates, and they lined up with Rock for the 2019 season. It was a rip-roaring success. They have managed to get themselves into a very strong position for 2020, even stronger now, Alex, because they have teamed up with Darren Beavers and the Bambino Kart Club. They are now united together.
Yes, and it's no longer Super 1 and Bambino Kart Club. It's the Super 1 BKC, British Kart Championship. And the dates that we've got, Fullbeck, the first weekend of April, Rowra, GYG, Clay Pigeon, Wilton Mill, and the final round is the 22nd and the 23rd of August at Shannington. And the classes, Mini, Junior and Senior Rock, IAME Bambino, Coma C50, Honda Cadet, and Rotax Power as well. So Mini Max Junior, Senior, and Rotax 177s. So it's going to be 6 race weekends, 12 rounds, best 10 count. It's going to be a 2-day format with a round on Saturday and the Sunday. They're going to have controlled slicks, wets, fuel, engines. It's looking to be a great season, and I can't wait to see how this new association between Darren and John really brings Super 1 and BKC to a whole new level in 2020.
Should be pretty special. The only other thing really we want to keep an eye on heading into 2020, now I think about it, and it was mentioned briefly in our news section, is the brand new electro heads. Now, we're definitely going to keep an eye on this because, of course, it's Rob Smedley's little baby going into the 2020 season, the electric karts. I think we're all very keen to see how that goes. I think we need to get in touch with Rob and see if he can have a chat with us about it, because if his concept works, I mean, he was there with Felipe Massa at the FIA Karting Gala and they were deep in conversation for most of the night. I have a feeling he's not going to have, just himself and a few of his team. I think he's going to get some support from the FIA Karting Commission and his good buddy Felipe. This could be a very, very strong championship in 2020.
Definitely. I mean, with, the pathway now that electric racing is part and parcel of the motorsport spectrum now. We've got ETCR coming on the horizon. We've already got Formula E now into season 6. I kind of think that really with what Rob's mantra with regards to it, and I've spoken to him on a couple of occasions, he said he's been speaking to a lot of people behind the scenes. He's got a lot of people interested. And with the amount of pull that Rob has because of his accomplishments through Formula One, and the way that he just wanted to give something back. I remember speaking to him about the Smedley Junior Racing Team when I was there for round 1, the Bambino Kart Club at Wilton last year, and it was great because we'd sort of like talking, and I think we had a really good chat. But I kind of thought I was sort of like thinking, is there going to be something that Mr. Smedley is going to bring, and it's going to be a complete curveball? And through electro heads, I'm really, really glad to see that someone of his caliber, his nous, and his savoir-faire to bring something like this. And he's had quite a few young drivers. One who I have to give a shout out to, Hallie Findlater, aka Mini Jamie Chadwick, because Hallie met Jamie herself, and I know Hallie's grandparents and mum very, very well, having commentated on Hallie through when she was starting off at Rye House Kart Raceway, which is where I'm going to be this coming weekend.
Fantastic. So you're at Rye House. I'm going to be at Trent Valley Kart Club this weekend for the second round of the Winter Series, catching up with a few of the competitors there. And then, of course, the week later, we have our first IAME Radio live broadcast since Dubai, and that is going to be obviously the IAME Winter Cup. We're there for that, and we'll probably do a Send It special from there. And I'm sure that when we go to Campillos, there's going to be a Send It special from there as well, Alex.
There will be, but also, well, you're over in Valencia, I will be back at Rye House on the Sunday, I believe, doing the first round. Well, because this weekend is the Rye House Pro Kart Winter Cup. 1 lap qualifying session, 2 2-hour races. Rye House will be broadcasting through their Mixler stream throughout the day with myself on commentary. And then I think the following week I'm back for the start of the 4th season of Rye House IKR. Which kicks off an 8-round calendar.
Fantastic. Well, that is all we have time for. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in February here on Send It. If you want to support us, or you want to get involved in the show, or you want to be on the show, do contact us via our social media channels, or email us downforceuk@hotmail.co.uk. Enjoy the IAME Winter Cup. If you don't get to that in time, enjoy the Rotax trophy as well, of course, at Campillos. I'm Jake Sanson. He's Alex Goldschmidt. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Send It.
Good night from him.
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.